jobs.
Can I say something else, Mr. President, on
No,
what you said last
not
night?
for CNN.
You said you
The
were
last,
Not
the
for
sending
CNN.
last,
Go ahead.
the
You
last
said you
jobs,
send more
in the
money
last
to
jobs report,
Ukraine.
Mr. President, in the last jobs report, the manufacturing jobs actually lost 7,000 jobs. When will the investments that you've been talking about have an effect?
Well,
on
they're
the-
building the plants now. About 7 have started. We're going to have hundreds started within a short period of time. Lee Zeldin, who may be the most important man in this room, I'm sorry, but he's the one that gets the permits. Where is Lee? He's the one that has to get the permits for the plants and the factories, and permits that used to take 5 years, he's getting in record-setting times. AI, we're leading China a lot in AI, and if we go with this, I'm allowing the plants to build their own electric. I'm allowing them to become an electric utility, so they can produce their own electricity, because we need double to be successful with AI, which is the biggest thing now. We need double the electricity that we have, which is hard to believe. We need even more than that. And they're building plants with their own electricity substations. They don't have to use the grid. And anything they build extra, they're putting into the grid. So we're supplying the grid with brand new electric sources. And it's funny, when they came to see me, they never even asked for that. I told them about it. The reason they didn't, they thought that was an impossibility. You're not allowed to build your own electric. These are massive investments that are being made in building electricity for their plants. And they're going to have, I think, Doug, a lot of electricity left over. And that electricity is going to be passed into the grid and give us no more, like you look at California. They have blackouts and brownouts every week. They're totally out of control. They have a really incompetent governor. Where's Chris? Is he here? Do you want to speak to the subject?
Yeah, I think a huge thing in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Mr. President, because of your leadership, is the ending of these subsidies, as you call them, the Green New Scam. That saves our country $500 billion over the next 10 years. But American taxpayers were paying twice. They're paying that money, $500 billion in the subsidies, and they were paying more expensive electricity price. If you subsidize something, you should at least lower the cost of it. But in this case, we were subsidizing something and paying more for it. So the One Big Beautiful Bill had two huge things: ending wasteful spending. Wind, solar, and batteries combined are 3% of U.S. total primary energy. 3% for $1 trillion, another $500 billion coming. It's just not a good investment, hurting our businesses, hurting our consumers. And the One Big Beautiful Bill also unshackled oil, gas, and coal development in the United States, onshore and offshore. Secretary Burgum has been working tirelessly on how, by getting the government out of the way, private businesses will develop more resources in the United States, lowering costs for American consumers and making much better leverage for the United States to help our allies abroad and reduce the power of our adversaries abroad. So just a huge win on the energy front all around, and I thank you for your leadership.
We're setting records now on energy, and there'll be nothing compared to what they'll be in about a year from now. But we're setting records, and wind is a very expensive form of energy. It's very bad for your beautiful surroundings, the plains and the valleys, and the birds are dying all over the place. The whole thing is a disaster. They're almost exclusively made in China. Not that I have anything against China, because I don't have a great relationship with President Xi, but I asked him, how many wind farms do you have? He makes them, but they don't have a lot of wind farms, I'll tell you, very, very few. And wind is tremendously expensive and is very ugly. And if you own a house that's inside of a windmill, your house is worth less than half. And you hear noises. And interestingly, in New England, you probably read, where for 50 years they had 2 whales washed up, 50 years. And last summer, they had 14 washed up. Now, I'm not saying that's the wind farm that was built, but maybe it is, right? Probably is. It's tremendously expensive, and it can only be done with subsidy. I know a man that's in that business, and one of the biggest in the world actually runs a company that builds these stupid windmills. And he said, I hate the business because it's the only energy where you need subsidy. He said, energy shouldn't need subsidy. You should make money with energy. So wind. The other one is the solar, those big solar fields. They're taking our farmland. Our farmers are like mortified by it. They hate it. It's very, very inefficient and very ugly too. Probably better than a windmill, but you go around and you see all these things that are 3 miles long by 3 miles wide, and you say, what the hell is that? And it's a lot of plastic from China. It's plastic, black plastic from China. No, we want to be smart. We're going with, look, China right now is building 58 coal-fired plants, 58 big ones. They have 62 on the books to build. We've reintroduced clean, beautiful coal, because you can do a lot with coal now. Clean, beautiful coal, and natural gas, and all of the other things that we have. But we don't want wind, and we don't want solar, because they're a blight on our country. They hurt our country very badly, and smart countries don't use it. Solar sounds good, I will say, and I like, on occasion, you'll see a roof which is made out of solar brick, but it's a smaller use. We need the kind of thing that's going to fire up our plants, and it's not going to be wind, that is very intermittent, as you probably know. But they've spent a fortune. They've spent trillions of dollars on this stuff, and I'll just give you one other story. A friend of mine is a very successful guy. He went back to see his mother in Minnesota. Hadn't seen her in a long time. And he wasn't back for 10 years, which isn't a nice story. I mean, you don't see your mother for 10 years. She's got some difficulties, which I know the guy, he does have some difficulties. He's very successful, but probably not the nicest person. And it was actually longer than 10 years, but he went back and he told me he wanted to go and look at the valley. There's a valley in Minnesota that he thought was so beautiful. And I hadn't seen it in a long time. He's driving along the road. He said, oh my, I'll use the word gosh, oh my gosh. He said, oh, he said, it looked like a junkyard. You had 159 windmills. They were all over the place. Some were old, some were newer, different companies, different shapes, different sizes, different colors. Many of them were terminated. Terminated meaning closed. You can't take them down because the environmentalists don't let you bury the blades because they're made out of a fiber they say is bad for the earth. So they want you to put them up, but they don't let you take them down. But many of them were turned off. He said it looked like a junkyard. Go to Palm Springs, California, and take a look at that pile of junk. And you go into a wealthy neighborhood. Before you get there, you have to ride through hundreds of windmills most of them are turned off. They're rotting, they're rusting, they're 30 years old, 20 years old, and they have a very short life. Those windmills have a very short life, especially the ones that are in the nice salty Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean, where the salt just gets under that steel and decimates it. No, it's a horrible, horrible thing for our country. And I speak out. It would be nice to say wind, because it sounds so good, doesn't it, Doug? Wind, wind. But it's not. It's these ugly machines, and they're all made, you got to see, some are a little taller, a little shorter. They're made by different companies. They have different stocks. They have different blades. They have different everything. It is so horrible. And if you look at smart countries, they don't use it. Smart countries don't use it. And we're now a smart country. We're a brilliant country. We're not smart. We're brilliant now. We're going to be a brilliant country. We have to be, because we have to catch up for some really stupid people that did a bad job.